Welcome back to the Root Cause Podcast. I'm your host, Callie Whitwell, and today I have some special guests who are going to help me discuss all things Holganix and how that can help your farm and your soil. All right, y'all, welcome back. Today with me, I have Kaleb Dinwiddie, Caitlin Barker, and Brian Strider. So we have two new guests. So Caitlin, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I've been with Holganix MidSouth since the very beginning, and my main role here is just like community outreach and marketing and just a little of this and kind of keeping it all together.
All right, so Brian, I want to welcome you to Tennessee, but tell us a little bit about yourself and how you play your role at Holganix.
Well, to start out, I'm a fifth-generation farmer. I got started with Holganix about 3 years ago. They came to me and asked me about if I wanted to use a product and try it out. And I bought Mom and Dad out at 17, and it was kind of funny because my dad he's 75, and he actually looked at Hansel and said, "Look, we're all in." I looked at him and I'm like, "What? I'm writing the checks, but we're all in." Okay. So what we did was we put it in with our starter fertilizer, and we actually didn't say anything to anybody because it was one of those things where we don't know anything about it. So if it falls on its face, no one will be more the wise. So we put it on, we backed down our fertilizer as they asked us to do, had a leap of faith. And as we really didn't pay attention to it like we should have. As we went on through the summer, we were noticing our stress mitigation was a lot better on our corn and soybeans, and we started seeing little things and didn't add it up. So as we get into fall, we're starting to see better yields, and we're starting to see. Dad was around the combine. He says, "Where's this coming from?" He'd holler at me on the radio. He goes, "Where's this coming from? The yields, the grain quality." And it was just like a lightning bolt. It was Holganix because the neighbors were not having the success we were having as far as with the yields. So that fall, was around the combine, and Brian Hansel comes, and he'd been on me for a year since we started to go to work. And as we're seeing the yields and we're very happy, he said, "Are you ready now to go to work?" And I said, "I am." So I started and was the first guy they hired in Missouri, and we're growing a pretty good sized team up there, and it's been fun.
Now, where's your farm at?
Yeah, my farm's in Hardin, Missouri. It's in they call it West Central Missouri, in the river bottom, about 50 miles east of Kansas City.
Okay. So now, but you had a real path getting back to the farm, buying the parents out and all that. So tell us a little about you took the leap of faith, but you also understood what was in that step as well.
Yeah. When I took that leap of faith, it was a, if you will, calculated leap of faith. And the reason why I say that is because I came from the liquid fertilizer side, so I understood kind of what Holganix was working towards and working with. So it actually coupled very well with my operation as far as what we were doing. And I plant early. I'm kind of an early adapter. I plant beans. Well, I started planting beans before a lot of people did, and planting corn April 1st. But in my mind, I thought, man, with this starter and the biology going in, it's a win-win. And it put everything. It did. I noticed a early emergence, even emergence. My replant was nothing. So those were the things that I did notice. And as I looked to the other neighbors, they were having some replant issues, and I just took mental notes, and those are the things that kind of kept me going.
Yeah, we've seen that on our farm, and now you're in the edge of the cotton belt, and I'm gonna steal something from Matt Miles. Matt says that cotton is the hardest thing to get up because it's just trying to die. It might come up, and then it might die, and then it becomes a tree, and you can't kill it. So it's a very, very finicky to get a stand. And I was talking with some growers yesterday because those seeds are about 3.5 cents a piece. Pretty expensive seed cost, and you have more confidence in cutting your seedling rate. With beans, we're cutting our seedling rates way back from where we were a decade ago for sure. So it just gives you more confidence to do that.
And to that point, it makes your ground more forgiving. as a lot of ground, as we've seen throughout the years, is not as forgiving. It's pretty finicky. You as you have to change your populations when you're planting. And I've noticed I've pulled mine back. I pulled my rates back and had very good success. So the thing with the Holganix does make your soil more forgiving.
Yeah, and so when you started, you were probably that 95% bacteria, 5% fungi on your farm, and you feel like now you're where?
I feel like right now, we haven't done a test this year, but we're about that 60-40 rate, because that first year you see a pretty good size jump. And the reason why we see the jump is because the soil is needing something to help it revive, get going again. So you see that big first jump, and then it's like a sponge or like a flywheel. It just keeps going and going and going. So once you keep adding to it, it keeps building. Now, of course, things get knocked back with practices. Nothing's perfect, but when we put all the biology we have in, things just keep growing. It's basically, if you will, we're just putting the seed stock in the ground to let things keep going.
Yeah, and so here with the living part of our soil, I mean, the first week of April we caught 12 to 16 inches of rain one weekend. So you know it's hard on your soil. It's hard. It's so we as you go forward, you speed that flywheel up, and then you have things that hit that slows it down, and it's just a moving thing.
Yeah, and the thing is with the rain and the drowning out, that we've heard it drowned out for years, and we've never really thought about it. But what it does is it literally kills your soil. It drowns your soil. It takes the oxygen out of it. It takes everything out. So when you have water standing on the soil 48 hours or longer, it's a problem.
But that smell is dead biology.
And that smell is dead biology, and people have driven by it for years going, boy, that stinks. What is that? Well, it's your ground's dying.
Yeah, that's something I learned, like coming on to Holganix. I think Brian Hansel was the one that brought that up for the first time. I was like, makes sense. Yeah. That's that smell.
I always just called it swamp. Yeah, it just smelled like a swamp.
Yeah, and for years we never knew what the heck it was.
Right.
But bam, there it is.
So what do you do at Holganix? Like you said, they hired you on, like they were kind of chasing you, and you got to use the product and see it work for yourself, kind of like how Kaleb did, and then join the team. So what is your role?
That's a good question. I actually work with the sales team right now. We're spread from at this point from Indiana clear to Texas. Nathan Moyer and I, we work together and we collaborate and work with a sales team of 10 right now. And we go on sales calls with them. We basically do whatever they need. We help them grow. We help guide them, because when we started, Brian Hansel hired me, and I said, I want 2 guys. I picked my guys. One was Nathan Moyer and one was Ryan Craig. And we came on board, and basically they threw us keys to the pickup and said, go sell some stuff. So we were very, very, very fortunate. We had a really good first year for just 3 of us. And so what we've done is we looked at the things that we had trouble with or maybe needed help with, and we're those guides. We're basically developing the business and soil specialists, and we're kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. But we really enjoy what we do because A, we're helping build the team, and I'm all about team, and B, we're building the brand, and C, we're helping the farmers, and it's pretty awesome to be on these farms, and as a farmer, to see in these tough times that we're helping farmers and helping them as much as we can.
So before we get into the tough times part, the average customer y'all went to see, were they familiar with biology, or had they bought products in the past and had experiences? There
was a large portion of them, yes. And they were very skeptical because they'd been burnt so many times, and we could appreciate that, and we could respect that, because here it is, another biological coming down the driveway, going to promise us a world. But the thing that we do, that sets us apart from any company in the industry is we take the journey with the farmer. We just don't come in there, sell something, and run away. We come in there when we talk. We educate you on the product and why it does what it does, and that's very important because there has to be a comfort level between Holganix and the farmer and a trust level, because it's a partnership. And so yes, there was some skepticism, and once we went on those farms and do our Crystal Labs probe and show them what's going on in their soil, and then once we go back again and show them that we've got movement in that soil, it makes a big difference. So we take the skepticism away if they will let us.
Yeah.
In.
I mean, yeah. So Caitlin, I think that's what we run into. So many of our customers or people in this area, we've had a flight of companies. I mean, just multiples. So it just kind of built up a lot of skepticism, and it was ultimately why I went with Holganix in 2019, is because this product has over 800 instead of 6 or 2 or 1 and species of biology, and it's refrigerated. So that gave me comfort. I said, well, if it's refrigerated, something must be alive in there, because, if you go to the doctor, if you get vaccinated, I've vaccinated a lot of cattle, a live virus is what we've always wanted. So,
Yep.
So that gave me some comfort. And, but there's just been so much, and this is something that we ran into in Caitlin. And the farmer, man, if he'll go with you during those root digs, that just gives, he understands so much more about how the tilth of the soil, compaction issues. It's noticeable.
It's noticeable, and it's funny you say that, because I had a guy out on one of my farms north, and he was helping me cut beans last fall, and he said, and he has a farm 2 miles from ours, and he hadn't been using Holganix, and he said, I got to tell you, he said, there's something different with this ground. He said, it's tougher hill dirt, like y'all see some red dirt, that pretty tight stuff, unforgiving. And he says, it's spongy, it's got some give to it. And he said, it's got to be the Holganix. And I said, seeing's believing, so there it is. And when it's kind of nice when people notice things that I'm not the type of person to say, hey, look at this, hey, look at that. I like for people to notice it for themselves. That way they understand what's going on. And there is a noticeable difference on the farms.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most rewarding parts about this, is when you do go out in the field with those farmers and that you see it click. And it's like, okay, you trust me now. We do have a product that actually works. It is living, and that relationship from that point forward is like, it's more solid.
And an old farm boy here, I don't know, it's probably a kind of a crummy way to say it, but you kind of get giddy about it.
Yeah.
You do, because it's like, do you believe what I'm telling you? Because I know in my heart what this stuff does.
Yeah, I mean, for the taglines, it seems unbelievable. Mm-hmm. For what Yeah, and we're not telling you that this is the only silver bullet. But it will. In every field, there's some farms that are better. And you'll see less response in the fields that maybe come out of pasture a few years ago or something. But overall, on my farm, it's paid, and on the massive acre, on the whole thing. So we started with just small acres, but in 2019, but increased to the whole crop. So yeah, it's a different purchase for the farmer. He's going to buy a seed somewhere. Maybe he doesn't have to buy his biology,
right.
But in these tough times that we're in, that you brought up a while ago, that it gives me more assurance. My challenge to them is to, if you're planting beans and cotton, cut your seedling rate some, gain some money there, cut fertility some. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's ways to make this work at a net zero plus get an enhancement.
Absolutely, and that's a great point. And the crazy thing is when we go out to the farm, all the guys are just asking, well, how much is gonna, what's my yield gonna be? What's my yield gonna be? And the thing that one has to understand is we're not talking about, we don't go out and just talk about yield, because this is a way bigger picture, because that's going to come. But it's a program, and it's a journey, and it's small steps to get to the big picture. But it, like you say, it's a path. I mean, good gosh, when you're going somewhere and you look on your phone, they'll give you probably 2 to 3 different ways, right? And I can tell you, if you're looking for that journey in agriculture, we're always going to be the best road that you pick first, because we understand what we're doing, we know where we're going, and we know where you're going to end up. So just think of it that way, because like you said, there's other choices out there, but there's none like ours. And we're very unique in what we do, is because we are alive. There is a shelf life. It's not ice cream, but when you have someone come to your farm and say, well, you can put this on the shelf and be there for 18 months. Well, that's not what we offer. What we offer is refrigerated, and the reasoning for the refrigeration is to slow the growth down of the biology in the tote. So, I mean, we're rip roaring ready to go when we hit the ground. We don't have to have something to get us going. We don't have to, wake up that dry biology.
You got to have a hungry plant.
You got to have a hungry plant.
You can't go out there and overabundance of, like I've run into some guys down here with a 220 bushel yield goal putting out 300 units in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to perform in that.
No, and you know what? And the thing is about all the farmers that have done that, it's no knock to them. They've done what they've been taught to do, done the best they can do, and they didn't know any better. We didn't know any better. So to that point is what we do is you're able to pull back that nitrogen. You're able to pull back that P and K, because all the P and K you've been putting in the soil, you're getting a small dollar amount of it, what you've been putting in. Mm-hmm. So the point is it's still in the vault down there in the soil. So you don't have to put as much on anymore, because we're going to wake it up and we're going to put it to work for you. So those guys that are putting 300 pounds on, we've got the guys at home, and hey, that they're comfortable with it, and it's a tough conversation to get these guys to ask them to peel back when they're looking for those big yields. But we've had farmers do it. They've shown success. National winners north of National Corn Growers. Mm-hmm. They've done it. The Porter Boys. So point is we will help you.
Well, it's a bet on nature. When you bet with Holganix, it's a bet on nature. But you brought up a good point. So yesterday I was riding with Callie. Mm-hmm. Do you ride with a lot of young salespeople?
I do.
Do they put in, like, if they're going to go across the street, do they put it in their GPS?
More than I realize until you just said that.
I do not do that bad. It automatically routes me places. It knows where home is, where work is, where what is.
Yeah.
So, like, if I was going to leave Trenton today, Tennessee, and head to New Mexico, I'd just go get on 40, and I'd be comfortable thinking that Albuquerque was south of 40,
Yeah.
But yesterday I was riding with Callie. I was putting in here, we're going 1.1 miles up the road. Let's forget the directions. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, we didn't. In my defense, he didn't know where one shop was either, and we were both trying to figure it out.
That is true.
That is very true.
But to that point, there's probably a couple of ways you could have gone.
Yeah.
There is, and I knew, and we were thinking about the same person, different shop locations. So, like, I knew the way to one, he knew the way to the other.
Yeah.
But it's so the younger and the older generation, like you said, your dad was all in up front. Mm-hmm. He didn't put nothing in his GPS. Just the whole thought of it clicked with him, and isn't that amazing how that works?
It really is.
Yeah.
The funny part is the older generation, it clicks to them quicker than the younger generation, because the older generation has seen about everything. We used to rip ground in the fall because it loosened the soil. I mean, that's what we thought. Well, what we didn't realize is we were killing biology when we were doing. I mean, you get a case of beer, go get in your ripper, go rip. That's what you did, is recreational ripping. Everybody, let's just go. And
Well, you're helping the fuel market.
yeah, oh yeah, I helped the
John
fuel
Deere
market.
liked it, and
Yeah.
there's nothing like dragging up all that old garbage and digging the old box springs out of your ripper plow. And
That's right.
Yeah.
So we'd run 3 or 4 rippers at a time. Well, we haven't ripped in 2 years. And when I planted this spring, I noticed it yesterday. Dad's been sick, so I took him around 2 days ago. I took him around and I said, Dad, here's where I started planting, and I had 15 pounds of down pressure on the planter. And I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on. Well, so the next morning I started again, and I put it back to the regular run, 120, 140. Well, that where I was running 15 pounds looks way better.
Yep.
Unbelievable. I didn't need to be running the down pressure that I had been running. But the 7 worst words for agriculture is that's the way we've always done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so it proved to me then, again, another thing, I didn't need the down pressure. And they look awesome. Oh, they all look good, but you can see the line.
Yeah. It's the whole down pressure thing. So a couple episodes back, we had Brian Peterson on, who is a Major League Baseball player. And he's a farmer now, but just so like he didn't come through the door because, in all honesty, I used to run 200 pounds of pressure because I wanted that planter stuck to that dirt. Mm-hmm. And now to think that we're going to go from planting 5 miles an hour corn to 10, right, and go from 200 pounds of spring pressure to hydraulic at 30 to 50 pounds, whatever, it's pretty amazing.
Well, think of the less wear on your planter.
Yeah.
Less push on your disc openers, on your fur, your fur openers, on your closing wheels, everything. There's less.
And so your corn look better.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, Dad said, well, there you go. There's another thing. And again, he just gets it, and which is kind of cool.
Yep. So I guess that's some of the big success stories.
Yeah. So I think we were talking about the older generations. I think a lot from the older to the younger, the older's more open to it. And this sounds bad, but they don't really have anything to lose. Like they're already at that point in their life, like they've busted their tails. They've lived to see so many crops. And at that point, they don't have anything to lose. But these kids that are taking over, they have that pressure of carrying on that family legacy and continuing that farm. And they're scared to change what's always been done.
Yeah, it's a comfort level. Mm-hmm. It's a comfort level, and it's like, well, it's for using Holganix. It's like falling off a couch. You can roll off, and it might be a little uncomfortable for a minute, but at the end, it ain't no big deal.
Right. You have some of the most random analogies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the ice cream one about the shelf life. I like that one.
Yeah. Well, I got that from Hansel. That's him.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, we bring the product out. You got 8 weeks to use it?
Yeah.
So don't be scared to death, and don't order it the hour before you need it. Just get your product, and it's all right. And
those are my favorites.
If it ain't, we're still answering the telephone. So
absolutely. And that's the thing is it's people they really hone in on that. Oh my gosh, well, what if this and what if that? Well, you know what? If something goes wrong and it's bad, we'll fix it.
Like, just call us. Like, we're people. Like, we will work with you.
This is not like a seed company where they have to walk your field for a replant or they need to file a report. You call us.
Well, it's not a big chain company. Like, it's not. There's just. No. It's more of like a community, like a family. Like, Holganix pushes your gratitude and all of that type of thing. It's very much not like a normal business, if that makes sense.
No, it's 100%. You're 100% right, because I look at myself every day and go, what in the world? I mean, is this for real? Because, I mean, we work our tails off. And the thing is that we all look out for one another in this company. We all celebrate each other's successes. We mourn our losses, but we're all trying to make each other better. But in that respect, our focus is on making agriculture better. Mm-hmm. And some farmers will sit back and say, oh, you guys are full of it. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Those that stand back and are skeptical, they're going to get passed by. because these guys that are doing things a little different and maybe a little more uncomfortable are the ones that are going to keep climbing out of these tough situations.
Right. So, Caitlin, you're into more animal agriculture naturally. That's more your
Yes.
yeah. And so at the end of the day, all your animal agriculture is about your digestive tract, and you got the cow who has a 5 ruminant, is all that. But the soil is a very, very equal thing to an animal, to a human's digestive tract. And we're just trying to put some life back in the soil like we do as humans.
Well, it's funny you say that, and this will kind of blow you over. So I'm not a livestock guy. I'm a row crop guy. I've been that way my whole life. But we've got a guy up in North Missouri that put Holganix on his pasture, and it does help your bricks count, and it helps your protein levels. What he noticed, and I don't know if it was coincidence or what, but he had a 20% better conception rate on his first calf heifers of the pasture that he was doing the Holganix.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's very interesting, and we're digging more into that. We're trying to figure out that correlation. But I think, you go to your dry land countries, you go to Texas, you come down here where you can't have as much water as far as irrigation in those areas, that's going to be big.
Yeah.
Because cattle's not going to go in. Heck, we don't want them to go away. Hats off to all livestock farmers, because you want to talk about work. That's a 365-day-a-year job.
Yeah, we need them to eat all this grain.
You dang
If
right.
they could eat a little more.
That's right. That's right.
Well, we're in the poultry industry, and so there's research being done with biologicals in chicken houses, and how that, because there's a lot of parasites and things like that will take over your soil and your dirt, because we're on dirt floors, and that'll be very interesting, because from time to time we do lose, a decent amount of chickens due to parasites if we don't manage that properly. Of course, some things are out of our control as far as our company and that kind of thing that we grow for. We're not just going to go throw Holganix, in our chicken houses, but I would love to see, in the next 10 years, that shift towards using these natural products on our poultry house floors to try to combat some of those parasitic issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's a contrast between GMO and non-GMO, but this right here has nothing to do with that. What it does is it makes the environment healthier for the animals, and we're doing it naturally, because it's tough. Chickens are like sheep; they're looking for a reason to die.
Yes, they are.
And so the better the environment you can make, the better off you're going to be. And we tell you something about, eggs and all that stuff. It's, we're not going to stop eating eggs. We're not going to stop eating chicken.
But that conception rate, that's huge.
Yeah.
The price of a cow.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a big deal. So it was kind of funny, just through conversation with one of our customers, and we've talked about it on some of our Zoom calls, but we're digging into that right now, because we need to figure out if that was really a true thing, because if it is, and we can prove that, you're right. With the cost of feed, with the cost of livestock today, especially beef, that's a big deal.
Yeah, and now he's in, I guess.
Yeah, he is.
And and that's when we used our first tote. I mean, we didn't know what we were doing, and we did it all wrong. We put on crop that was this big, and
sure,
we didn't know what we were doing, and we just bought some from our buddy Kevin Van Trump, so we were just taking that leap of faith,
Yeah.
And we got results, and we didn't really understand why we got them, because we didn't cut fertilize, we didn't do all of that. But that is one thing the customer has to do. This is a multi-year investment. This is a legacy changing type of input.
It really is, and that's what they have to have a full understanding of. It is a journey. It's not a silver bullet. It's not a quick fix. It took a long time to get the soil where it is, and we can help bring it back to life way quicker than it was knocked down. But it's we're not Helen Keller's teacher here. We're not the miracle worker.
Right.
It just takes a little time.
Right.
to get it done. So
I feel like all these farmers are looking for like a one-stop shop. Like if you apply it this year and you're immediately getting yield, you're immediately getting better soil, like less compaction. And it's, like you said, it took you years to damage your soil. It's going to take you a few years to dig yourself out of that hole. Like it is a long-term journey that just, you can't sprinkle fairy dust and expect it to be okay.
So the reason why these farmers are looking for that one-stop shop is because they've been told that so many times that these guys have the next best thing and it's going to just wow you and it's a quick fix. And to be quite honest, it's all hooey. It's not. And you have to be truthful with these farmers, all farmers. You have to set the expectation to what's going to happen and how you're going to get there, because if you don't, it's never going to get fixed. The skepticism's always going to be there. Mm-hmm. And there's so many guys. I work in the liquid fertilizer business. They just told lies, and so I had to fix a lot of those misconceptions, if you will. And we're fixing misconceptions now with the biology market, because so many people, A, don't know what they're selling. B, they don't even know what they have. Because the thing with the biological market right now, it's unregulated. I mean, you could put, cow urine in a jug and go out there and sell it and say it's awesome. There's no repercussions, none. But with what we do, in every single batch, we DNA stamp every one of them. So if they came back and say, we want to know what's in there, something went wrong, we can go back. So if tomorrow they said, we want to regulate this market, boom, we're in. The rest of them are out because they have no validity in anything they're doing.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah. So that's a big step. I mean,
it is. That's what me and my brother did a project for one of our classes, and we based it off of Holganix and studied it even deeper, and then studied other biologicals for our competitors. And our whole point was like, ours is refrigerated, it's living and breathing, it's refrigerated and ventilated. These other products are sealed on the shelf. Mm-hmm. That's my biggest. Just if you want to compare to other brands, that's how we stand.
Yeah, you set yourself apart by A, it's living, and B, the amount of biology we have in ours is second to none. If you really take a stretch, and I mean take a stretch of some of these companies, they may have 24 that they picked off a shelf somewhere in China and put it in water and put it in a jug. Ours is produced in the United States. We have our own stuff. It's right there. We control everything we do. So,
and the way to end up with 800 species in this jug is start out with over 1,000.
That's exactly right.
Because everything you do puts friction on them, mm-hmm. But we're guaranteeing you 800.
Yep.
So that's the other comforting fact. When after I bought my first tote and it worked, I said, well, I'm gonna check into this a little bit, and so we found out a lot more of the things and tried to start implementing it correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, we were the trial and error. Holganix did their trial and error. You did some trial and error as a early adapter in 2019, because at that time it was pretty new.
Yeah.
And things have changed in the way that we can actually look ahead, and we kind of know what's going to happen with the product as far as the storability and those things. So that's been a big plus.
Yep. And so Caitlin, he's seen this product everywhere. Sand, just like us here, we have some muck, some heavy soils, not as much sand. There's some sand in our area, but not as much. So Caitlin, don't you want to hear him give us a rundown of all the places he's seen this product?
Yes. Is it specific in specific crops, or is it? Give us the rundown of that.
So when we go onto a farm and we have people that are questioning, where do I put it? Where do you want it? Where do you want me to put it? And if they're very skeptical, we say, put it on your worst dirt first, because that's where it needs it worst. But, and we all know that your better soil is you're not going to see that bang as quick because it's in a little better shape. I mean, your gumbos, we call it gumbo, you'll call it muck. That stuff is the color of this right here, and it's tight. So that's what we like to do, because basically that's like we compare the soil to a bag of, or a bucket of golf balls is where we want to end up, but usually you're with a bucket of sand that's compacted where that won't go down in, and we want to make it that. And we're actually seeing that in that gumbo soil, within 2 to 3 years. I mean, you're going to see a little bit in the first year, 2 to 3 years, that, boom, boom, it's getting better, where it's actually letting that water perk down, where you're not seeing drowned out spots, where you're seeing better stands. And also in the sand, we're actually seeing that raise the organic matter. That's the big thing we're seeing out in western Nebraska. We're seeing where instead of not growing anything, it's actually growing. It's getting better and better all the time, but it's holding that organic matter, which actually gives better water holding capacity, and it's giving your plants a chance to live and to grow. So, yeah, I've seen it in a lot of places, and I was in Texas last week. We were on a sod farm, and I couldn't believe how tight those sod farms are and how much they water them, and that water just stands there, and it's harder than Japanese arithmetic. That stuff is hard. Mm-hmm. But heck, we're going to help get that, and they dig it about an inch underneath the grass. I'm learning a lot about sod. So what we're doing is what we can help is those roots get deeper into that soil and help the growth of that sod back quicker, because there's going to be more roots, and there's going to be more activity. Mm-hmm. So, and they're not going to have to water as much. So we figured this gentleman had a 400-acre farm, and I said, well, look at it this way. I said, if we could make you 20% more efficient on this 400-acre sod farm, that's like going out and buying another 80 acres, and it's right here.
Yeah. Yeah, you're already going over it.
And you're already going over it. So, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was about to say, that's what a lot of people don't realize. We've had this conversation. We've said it multiple times on the podcast. Would you rather farm 500 acres and make profit, or farm 5,000 and go in the hole? Most people are going to choose 5,000 so they can have 5,000 acres.
Well, it's more cool to sit in a coffee shop and say, I got 5,000. I don't give a hang what you got. I really don't. It don't impress me.
It may be the generation that just takes that leap of faith. Do I go left? Do I go right? We're just going 1 mile, instead of put it in, the direction.
I want everybody to know, I have a sense of direction. We were in South Jackson. I didn't know.
It's okay. You save time by not getting lost.
Yeah.
Using your resources. Good job.
There you go. So
I map out all my routes. When I go anywhere to do anything, if I'm driving to Kentucky, I have every stop. I know where I'm going to fill up with fuel, everything.
Are you still worried about that?
Yes, that's on my mind.
And she had a blowout this week.
It wasn't a blowout. All my look. It was.
Boy, I got the pictures of that, and wowzers. Yeah, she called me. Was that Monday night? You were wound tight.
Yeah, I was tore up. We were talking about this.
I missed that.
Yeah, you
the whole thing. Yeah, whole thing. Yep.
I was stranded in Kentucky. I'll do anything for Holganix. Sit on the side of the road.
Yep. So, you back on track over here? You need some help?
Oh, I'm good. So, Holganix is used everywhere. I mean, it's good in any crop. What is the biggest thing pressure-wise? Obviously, we have different weather conditions here than y'all probably have. I think we get a lot more rain. What do you see that way, with disease pressures and stuff like that?
Great question. So what I've noticed is the sudden death. We're helping with that a lot. We discovered in Iowa, because they were basically early adapters. Holganix Midwest up there, then came to Missouri, MidSouth. They noticed around 70 to 80% suppression in sudden death for beans. That's huge. So a lot of these, you guys have a lot of humidity. Y'all have a lot of more moisture than we have. So with a healthier soil makes a healthier plant. And that's that's what we're seeing. We're actually helping those fungal diseases be suppressed. We're not saying it's totally going to knock them out, but it's making your plant stronger to where we're seeing that, and like tar spot.
Yes, it's less of a problem.
It's less of a problem. We had some large growers in Missouri last year that had tar spot all around them, and they had some visual tar spot in their field, but they didn't see their yield go down. So,
here in the sandier soils, we have lots of nematodes. And, it's not as huge a problem on my farm, I think, but I don't know because I'm not testing it. I'm just riding around saying I don't have nematodes. I don't know if I got nematodes or
Wishful thinking.
there you go.
So I mean, we have a big movement there too. So if you're planting into nematodes and you are, we got a huge answer for a problem.
Yeah, because that's a great point. Because with our spring product that we do, we have beneficial nematodes in that. And
right.
The difference between and you guys have probably talked about the difference between the fall and the spring. Am I correct?
Well, not enough. We need to do that.
So the difference between the fall and the spring is we have a course a fall product, a spring product, the breakdown. The breakdown actually we elevate the degraders and the biology in that solution. It also has 2% of slow release nitrogen to make everything go to work quicker for that breakdown. When we come back to the spring, we pull the degraders down, we raise the nematodes up, and we don't have that slow release nitrogen in there. We've got humic and fulvic acids in there, along with the molasses that feeds the biology. So that's the two differences that we see. There's molasses, it's 1 pound per gallon of solution, and it smells sweet. I told a guy on the phone on the way over, it looks like tobacco spit. It's brown juice. And they both look the same. You can't tell the difference in looking at them, but that's the big thing that we see.
Yeah, so a lot of people are using fall products for degraders, and they've got bacteria. But our product actually has fungi that's capable of eating out the inner of that corn stalk.
That's right. And what we're seeing is within, depending, there are variables in farming. You got heat, you got moisture, and you got all kinds of weather conditions. But in the fall, what we're seeing is you run 15 gallon of water and you're running that 64 ounce rate, and you're trying to get it as close to behind the combine as you can. And the reason why that is because we're wanting that to degrade as much as it can and get back into the soil. So it's basically more nutrients in the soil coming to the spring. So we're seeing in good conditions, within 10 days, you're seeing these stalks starting to get black.
Yeah. Yeah, we've done it here even with no rain.
Yeah.
I was really concerned, but we saw some movement.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. And I noticed that the first fall I used it going into the next spring, it was unbelievable. We had a really, my brother and I own a farm that's got, I think at that time it was 10 years of corn on corn, and it was the average over 200 on it. And I sprayed it on. That fall, I ran my Landol, my vertical till, and it looked awesome. Well, I went back that spring. Of course, again, this is year 2, still being in the mindset of, I got to go over that soil before I plant. I got to do it. Well, and I hit it again with the Landol, shallow, and there were no stalks. It looked phenomenal. So,
did you sell that Landol?
It's actually sitting outside the shed. I didn't use it at all. I didn't till anything this spring. We Landoled everything last fall, and then I come in and we planted corn and beans both. And the other thing I did different this year than the neighbors. Everybody up home runs anhydrous. It's a big deal still. So there's Northwest Ag, the people I do some business with up there, and with my cousin, we run 28. We injected 28 in the ground in front of the corn planter this year, and we're trying to hold that biology as much as we can. And we're excited to see how it looks. Great, everything came up great. Actually, we put the Holganix right in with it and put it in the ground. So to let it get to work before we planted. We did it about 10 days before planting. So that's kind of the window. We like to see 2 weeks either side of planting with the spring Holganix or at planting. So that's kind of we're trying to hold that biology the best we can.
Right. So we need to wrap up, I guess. But I guess my big thing here is, what is your, a farmer who hadn't tried this product? I mean, in our opinion, we wear blue. We think you should. And, but I guess my biggest thing is you should give it a fair try. It needs to be on 20, 30% of your acres first time. I mean, it's not fair to buy one tote and put it in 28 fields. And, I mean, that's not our goal. And
no, I agree. And to be real honest with you, you're right. You want it on 20 to 30% if that's what you're going to do. If you're skeptical, have an open mind. And this is real. This is the most real thing in agriculture we've seen since, Roundup Ready beans, if you will, as far as something that's changed the industry. And it is real, and we are willing to take every step with you possible to make sure that that this is what it is. And we're working with you to help grow that soil better, make your crop better, make your farm better and more profitable.
And if you become in the carbon, we're going to do it on a tested basis, and you're going to have satellite imagery. You probably know a little more about that. What is the farmer going to get in the Holganix carbon program just to help you guide your way through?
So with that, I mean, we have our Crystal Labs probe like we talked about, and we're going to come out and do some fields. I mean, let's say you got 5,000 acres. We're going to do 2 or 3 fields,
corn and beans.
We're going to get a baseline for you so you can see what's going on in your soil. But also with that, we've got Ag MRI. We'll have soil imagery over the top with an airplane, and it goes by, I think, every 10 days. And the thing with that is we are asking you to peel back your NP and K. But with that, the comfort level is we're looking over those fields for you. If we see problem areas, we're going to address it with you, and we're going to figure out what's going on, because we're asking a lot. We are asking a lot, and so we're gonna monitor that with you. You get that. That's free of charge. When we come out with the Crystal Labs probe, that's part of our program, and then we have the carbon program, which we go out with. We have companies that go out with the probe. They go down in the spring. They dig down, and we send that soil off to a lab. They burn it off and measure the carbon. Come back a year later, the next spring, and do the same thing. So we are the only company at this point that is a measured carbon program company, and we had a pilot program in 24, and we paid.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it again in 25, and we're going to do it again in 26 and 27. So with that, our carbon program is based upon that, and at the end result is to make the farmer a profit on the backside of what they're growing in the soil and the good things they're doing.
So the soil health, reduce the inputs, increase yield, maybe increase the product you're selling. Maybe we can prove out that the gestation in those cattle was, whatever it's going to. Maybe that Bush Light will taste better. Maybe the whole deal.
Yeah.
And then the carbon is just kind of like a real decent cake and then some spectacular icing.
Yeah, because when Holganix started this soil journey, they had no idea, no intentions of anything with carbon. And this was literally discovered by a pure accident. Yeah. And it's been phenomenal, and it's gonna continue to be better. And one more point, this is private money. We are working one-on-one with private companies that are in a carbon neutral setting. And this is not government money, so if they sneeze in Washington one way or the other, it does not affect our carbon program at all.
Yeah, and our carbon it's a crop.
It is a crop. It's a crop that we are growing under the soil, and with better roots, going into the soil, it builds better carbon. So more roots, better soil, better carbon. You got better cation exchange capacity. You got better organic matter. And the one thing is, as you grow organic matter, your carbon gets better and better and better. So there are a lot of steps to this that we didn't even know we were doing. And that's the cool part, because we had in mind the bet make soil better, help the farmer, but there's a whole heck of a lot of stuff going on.
Right. So
I have one more question for you. Mm-hmm. Obviously, like, I want to know where you see Holganix going in the next 5 to 10 years, but what do you think your role would be in 5 to 10 years? Like, how do you think Holganix is going to change?
He's going to run for the governor of Missouri, I heard.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. Governor Kehoe's a pretty good cat, but yeah, we'll go.
So is this his second term?
His first term.
Oh,
so,
okay. Well,
yeah.
we got to wait a little
Got to wait
Okay.
a few years. Yeah, yeah.
But so where do you see yourself, your farm, your soil based off of Holganix?
I can tell you, I can already see the future. It's kind of funny. I'm seeing the future right now, and it's getting better and better. And what I mean by that is I'm seeing the farms getting better. I'm seeing the crops getting better. I'm seeing pulling back on the inputs, and it's not hurting my bottom line. I'm helping my bottom line. So 5 to 10 years for the farm, it's going to get better and better as far as more profitability. And the good Lord knows we all need as much profit as we can get right now. And my role in Holganix is probably doing the same thing I'm doing right now, because I'm having a lot of fun. And I'm that guy that's I graduated 16th out of 20 in my class, all right? I was one of 5 that graduated college.
You weren't last.
And that's why I wasn't last.
Proud of you.
But the point is the things I've done, a lot of things I've done my whole life, I've been doubted. And this is one of those that makes you feel good, because you know, a lot of people doubt it. So in 5 more years, there's going to be a lot more people going, man, he was right. Not that I'm worried about being right all the time, but when it counts,
feels good.
But when it counts, I want to be right. And,
Yeah.
and this in my heart, I know we can change the future of agriculture in a positive way.
Yeah, and Holganix is here for the family farm.
They are here for the family
For the
farm.
legacy of it.
And you said 5 more years. We have a lot of farmers and family farms that are really struggling to hold on and don't know if they're going to make it to next year.
Right.
What encouragement would you have, and kind of that push to give Holganix a try to maybe help save the farm?
Well, that's a great point, Caitlin, and I think that at the end of the day, give it a shot, because a lot of guys, I can tell you, they can say whatever they want, but I'll guarantee you, they've already pulled back on their P&K this year because they couldn't afford to do it. Mm-hmm. And don't cut off your nose to spite your face. Give Holganix a try to help your soil get the good out of what you've been doing for years. And I can promise you,
It's there.
it's there.
Yeah.
It is there. It's a vault. Your soil is a vault. What Holganix helps do is unlock the vault. This is Mother Nature. You don't mess with Mother Nature as far as you can't beat her.
Right.
You might as well join her.
Yep.
So this is what we do. And to help those guys, it's good gosh, it's 2 bushel of beans. And we can make it better. And I tell you, for all those farmers out there, keep your heads up. You're not alone. And the thing is if you're having trouble and you're struggling and you need somebody to talk to, pick a neighbor, pick a friend, make a phone call. I mean, because let me tell you, I'm 5th generation, and we've seen the good, bad, and different. And I'm going to tell you, we're not bulletproof. We all got feelings. We got hearts, and everybody's in the same boat. So don't be afraid to reach out and talk to somebody and go through things, because, nobody's immune to heartache and struggles, and everybody needs to stick together in these hard times.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank y'all for joining me. This conversation, I felt like, really opened the doors and explained Holganix in a deeper, better way. But thank y'all.
Thanks.
Thank y'all for joining us today. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe at rootcauseag.com. If you have any more questions about Holganix, reach out to us at holganixmidsouth.com.